Are you ready, yeah?
Oh, shit.
Cool. It's man like Dan. Come on.
Yes.
Welcome to Melanated Proud. Today, we got some lovely guests in it. But before I introduce them, make sure you like that button, subscribe and share with your loved ones in it. So over to my right, we got Big Ebby and Simeon. So round of applause for you guys, man.
Yo,
Man didn't want to, you know what's funny?
Yeah,
he didn't want to bet the vocal, the government name still, but it is what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is. But we tried before, didn't work. We'll try again, innit? So we're gonna get straight into this, innit? So last time I beat around the bush, but we're gonna go right into the main topic straight away, innit?
Okay.
So the question is, do you have control over your phone?
We do, obviously, to an extent, innit? And I think obviously it depends on each individual how much control they have over their phone. But the main point is that how much power we have over it is decided by us, basically. I think, yes, obviously there's things outside of our control. Apps are being made to be addictive, you know, stuff like that, where it's like, I think nowadays in today's generation it is a bit harder than 10 years ago when we had like Sony Xperias and stuff like that in it, where it wasn't too crazy. The games weren't like that. The apps, social media, all of this wasn't that. But nevertheless, we still have like control of how much time we use and what we actually use our phone on. So it's like, it depends on every person, but I would say yes. I think the answer is yes.
So your phone doesn't control you, that's what you're saying, yeah?
There are times where obviously, you know, I lose discipline, you know. I think that's everyone, innit? I think at the end of the day, as long as you, for the most part, like, let's say in a week, you plan on what you want to do and you're like, you know what, I need to do this stuff. If your phone isn't distracting you from getting your goals done and doing what you need to do, I think you have power over your phone, innit? But there are times where obviously, like, you know, people scroll on TikTok, me included sometimes. I'm just scrolling for time. I don't even look. I look back at the clock and I'm like, yo, an hour's gone by. Like, how has it gone by like that? But like, it's one of them ones where I feel like it's within everyone's power to actually control themselves and be able to, you know, be mindful of how much time you're spending and actually have control over your phone, innit?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think the answer is yes. Overall.
What about you?
No, you think the answer is yes for you. That's what I got to say. It's like you said at the start. I think it depends on the person. Like, because there are people who have grown up and that's their only form of entertainment. That's their only form of connection to friends, family. So I don't know. I think there's definitely like a group of people who are more controlled by their phone than they are in control, should I say. But I don't know. I think I'd like to think we come from a time where we had experience without that technology in it, so we have other things to fall back on if we don't want to be using our phones 24/7. It's us against the algorithm, isn't it?
That's the algorithm,
bro.
Let's speak about the algorithm, because realistically, like, it's a setup.
It is a setup.
Like, it's actually a setup. So like, as much as like some of us might have a bit more control, like the ones that don't, you can't really blame them as well, innit? Because like how everything's set up is mad.
It's crazy. I'm a software engineer, innit? I work in a
Come on.
Oh wait, so you're working for them, man? Like.
Wait, relax.
He's working for.
Hey, let me not expose my employer, innit? But long story short, yeah, like I see some of the aspects where it's like they're engineered to, you know, retain customers and stuff like that, innit? But at what point do you say, okay, this isn't just trying to retain, but this is trying to, you know, get people addicted to what you're like pushing out. So like, there's a lot of software companies. I know TikTok, all these algorithms on YouTube as well, where it's like, it's designed to keep you there no matter the cost. For them, it's like, yeah, you know, we're engaging customers, but really and truly what they're doing is making people addicted to their softwares and their platforms, which is, it's crazy when you think about it. Like, they're literally making people need their content. And it's like, how are you any different from like you got to think like it's a bit morally bankrupt for you to be saying, you know what, yeah, no matter the cost, we got to keep people engaged in our stuff because it's detrimental. I don't think there's any positive addiction. There's no such thing as like a positive addiction. So if you're getting to the point where everyone is using your things all the time, like, yeah, your profits are going up. Yeah, you know, you're that company now, innit? But At what cost? Like it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it like that. So
that's mad because like you said, like what's the difference between that and let's say like a casino?
exactly.
Like,
And
or
it's
someone that's like selling the packages on the street. You know what I mean? Like, what's actually the difference? Innit? It's about how it's marketed.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the day, like you said, it's leading to addiction, innit?
it is, yeah.
But at any cost. So like, why isn't that being questioned? Because like they're
Bro,
there to keep people on, innit? And like
saying.
at least with like gambling and whatever and drugs, like there is like an age limit or age restriction for this. Like anyone can go in it.
And obviously, like they'll say like 13 plus and whatever it is.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as long as you have a phone, you have access to it, which is crazy. No other thing has this much access from young and like so readily as well, bro. Any phone will have most of these social media apps. iPads have it, all these other stuff. Like as long as you're in contact with technology, which nowadays is around, you have access to it. So it's like, I feel like there needs to be more stuff in place to safeguard people, not just young people, just people in general. Like there should be. It's hard, isn't it? Because it is hard to enforce hard limits, but like you can't allow people to scroll TikTok for 8 to 10 hours a day. There are people out there that do it. You can't allow people, and young people as well, like kids nowadays, yes, they play games on their iPads and stuff, but some of them are creating social media accounts from young, and it's like they're on these platforms where
they're doing bits to stuff.
Some of them are. Obviously,
like, yeah, millionaires and that.
No, I get that, and you know what? Fair enough for that, innit? But then there's also people just jumping on Twitter from young ages. I don't even know, innit? And they're seeing the stuff that we're seeing. And some of the stuff is crazy on Twitter. I'm sure you guys have seen it, innit? Like some of the tweets that people are throwing out is wild, and it's like there should be an age limit, and there is age limits, but it's not like heavily enforced. And these things,
who do you expect?
That's the thing. It should be the company.
You can't expect morality from people who are set out to.
I know it's hard, man, but it should be the companies that are making these products that should be like, you know what, we gotta have like our moral compass here. Like we can't just like, there should be limits to profit in it. Like it can't just be no matter the cost. It should be like, okay, cool. Yes, you know, we want to grow our company, but there's certain things that we have to give hard no's to, and that should be one of them. Because it's so easy for young people nowadays, just people in general, to fall victim to these things. Because no, even people, grown adults, like people who have control of their lives and their careers, from time to time say that their phone is addictive and stuff like this. So
that's what I'm saying. So are they in control then? Like is the general population, have they got control over it? Because like if you deep it, even like babies or like little toddlers, they're getting thrown into technology so quickly as well.
Young ages.
So is that kind of like I'm going a bit far now, isn't it? But is that potentially immoral from like a parent perspective as well? I know it's deep in it. Obviously,
it is.
They don't really know the consequences in it. But what I'm saying is like it kind of can contribute as well. Yeah. But at the same time, if their kid does not jump on technology as well, they might end up behind when it comes to that class as well. So like, what are you gonna do?
We have control to a degree. I think I'm revising my answer. I'm changing it now. I think I said yes fully, but I'm deepening it now. We probably have less control than we think. And as our society becomes more technologically evolved, and like, it's one of them ones where it's like, it's going to be even harder in the coming years. So I think to a degree, I think right now, people still have control. You can choose to delete or deactivate your accounts if you wanted to. But these are like, I'm talking from the standpoint of an adult, a young adult, or, you know, someone who's just come out of uni or something like that. They can do that easily. Teenagers who are like 10, 11, 12, bro, that's a teenagers at 11, 10, 11, 12. Young people that are 10, 11, 12, where all they've seen is technology. All they've seen is these things where it's like, they've been thrusted into it from young ages. That answer is becoming increasingly, like, I wouldn't say yes affirmatively with those people, because it's harder to avoid something where it's around you 24/7 and you're pushed into that. So to a degree. That's my answer.
Because like even the whole algorithm, like I heard they play on like the dopamine factor as well, and like how
they have psychologists, bro.
Yeah, they
like,
literally use the same principles for like gambling into social media.
That's what I'm saying.
Finding those like novelty, the new situations that provide you with like rewards and so on, and like they'll have you searching because like you're coming across loads of dull content in hope to find something that is gonna be stimulating.
Exactly,
that's all it does. It's a repetitive cycle, innit? But I know we're speaking about control in terms of like the big institution, innit? But what about in terms of like posting?
I mean, yeah, we have control over that. Like,
or responding to messages.
Yeah, we have control over that.
Yeah.
I think that's easier to say yes to because I feel like those things we can choose to filter our feed to make sure that we see what we want to see. And like, posting all this stuff, we don't have to do that if we don't want to. Like, I get the whole, there might be, I guess, pressure, peer pressure to do that and stuff like that, where it's like everyone around you is posting and everyone around you is using social media like that. But right now, you don't have to. You can definitely get away with having an account, but not having only having your close friends or, not posting stuff that you don't want to.
People feel like saddened if you're not on socials, like, or they haven't seen you.
Yeah,
or you're not responding.
It's true
on time.
Yeah.
Where's the control on that? It's like they're trying to take control over your life. You might have things to do, but if you're not responding, people are gonna get all sensitive about it.
People feel entitled to your time in it and stuff like that.
I saw something you were saying how like when you was on it, like people thought you was gone.
Yeah. So I jumped on Instagram quite late. I didn't even realize how influential it was, to be honest, because I was on Twitter at the time. But even so, people from my past would be like, "Oh yeah, you were ghosting for time. Like we didn't know where you've been and stuff like that," which was strange to me because from my perception, I had been more quote unquote active than ever before. I'd probably met more people, made more friends, had more experiences in the time where I wasn't on social media than when I jumped on it in comparison. But because of that perception, because I wasn't constantly in people's faces, they must have thought, oh, okay, Simeon is probably, I don't know, disappeared somewhere. So, yeah, that was an interesting, and that's why I'm kind of skeptical about how much control we have in that regard, because it takes a lot to avoid that pressure. Most people want to be part of something. Most people want to be seen. Most people want to be validated. So if you've already grown up in an environment where that's the case, and like you said, that's where you get your dopamine from, that's where you get your connections from, that's your definition of friendships and relationships, then do you really have a choice in terms of can you come off it? Sure, like on paper, yes or no, but then it's like if it's 99% no, because everybody else is doing it and you're more likely to be influenced, then I don't know, what's the 1%? That's what I'm thinking. Can I even say it's a choice for the average person? Because let's be honest, the average person, like I said, is gonna want to be part of the group. So I'm not sure. Do you know what? To an extent, when we speak about stuff like this, I almost don't want to consider like people that exist outside of the norm, because most of them are cool with the place where they're at. So for instance, someone who has Instagram or social media but only uses it for like, let's say, healthier reasons than the most of us do. Yeah. Let's say they use it as a way to get the news, a way to contact family, and they aren't influenced like negatively by peer pressure or anything like that. That's not the normal person now.
It's true, yeah.
The normal person is, like I said, the kid that grows up only knowing that their worth is based on how many likes they get, or the places they want to visit are where these influences are going. So that's what I'm more concerned for, and that's why I'm thinking, do they have a choice? Because if you're naturally, if you're naturally somebody who kind of exists outside of the norm, then you won't really have to worry about that, will you?
I'm saying deeper, like the peer pressure is actually a massive thing, isn't it? Like, school times they always just say like, don't give in to peer pressure. Like, anyway, everyone does.
Yeah, for sure.
I think even before social media, peer pressure was always a thing.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting where we get it from. It's so easy to criticize, isn't it? But like, look what we say about, for instance, some generations older than us, or our parents, or people that age,
Mm.
and they're watching the news and telling you, "Oh, don't go to this area because they see this happen."
Yeah.
And we say, you've been watching too much news, innit? But we can't do the same because we're getting it from social media. That's the thing. Like, if it's from a source you trust, and for some reason for us that means Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, then you won't say anything because it's yourself. You're then questioning your own moral compass. It's much easier for me to look at somebody watching the news and say, they're trying to feed you this, they're trying to feed you that, whereas I can't see it in myself. And that's one thing I think social media strips away from you, that self-awareness, that accountability, because if you're just constantly being validated, go have an argument with someone and then jump on a timeline the next day. The timeline will tell you are right.
Yeah.
So if you're not used to criticizing yourself, and that bubble, that algorithm that it will create around you, like, to make you feel secure in yourself, is dangerous. I think the times you don't critique yourself, the times you don't think, am I really in the right here? And the times you just surround yourself with yeses is when it's a downward slope, innit? And I think that's the direction that average person who, you know, will grow up using social media the way everybody else does, that's where they're potentially heading.
So how does someone actually gain control over it? If they don't have it, like, what can they do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the answers, Soy, but one thing I'd suggest, I guess, and it's got to be from young, like, unfortunately, innit, is kind of really being firm in defining where that moral compass comes from. If you grow up and you're told that your worth comes from the material items you have and how you can show people, or your conversations with people are just gossip, talking about other people, then of course you're going to naturally grow up and gravitate towards platforms that encourage those things. But at the same time, if you grow up, you know, having value in yourself, and being focused on your own journey and your own achievements, then I think that it's more likely that you'll be almost resistant to that poor social media in comparison. But for people already growing up in that environment, man, it's going to be a hard reset. I can't lie. Maybe they've got to do it gradually, slowly coming and looking for dopamine and enjoyment in different places. Maybe they've got to try things. It's the thing. Unfortunately, what do they say? The best advice is always the worst advice, isn't it? And that's get over it. Like, there's nothing else you can do, and I know it's difficult.
To get over it.
Bro, it's the worst advice, but it's the best, because in theory, that's what you've got to do. So try and have more real world experiences with the people that you love, instead of having them, I don't know, for a reason, just to show people. And I guess
it's mad because, like, your social, like, network or platform on the social platforms should not define you, innit? But often it does, innit? Like, whether you got more followers or less followers, like, you might take to heart and see that view of yourself online as who you are in real life, innit?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it does. It knocks people's confidence a lot.
But why should it not define you? If that digital, like, place has more currency than real world, then why should your digital presence not define you?
It shouldn't, because just because you have loads of followers doesn't mean that you're any more important than anyone else, innit? But social media will make it seem as though those that have a higher following are more valuable.
Yeah. See, I think the same, but if that's the direction we're headed, then what? That's the thing. Inherently, there is no right or wrong in it. We have our opinions. But imagine if now we're in a time where your digital presence is like that, is superior to your real world presence. Then surely it's something you should invest in. I don't know. It's complicated, isn't it? Like,
in the end of the day, it's all about how you're going to use it to help yourself, innit? So, like, whether you have a little following and it's taken its toll on you, that shouldn't knock your confidence in it. You should still know who you are as a person. I think that's what I'm talking about. So whether you have a high following as well, at the same time, you shouldn't feel like you're a god now. Like, keep it humble. So it works both ways. I think it comes down to you regardless, innit? No matter what people say, even if you are doing well or you're not, like, what do you think of yourself? That's the real question. Because on social media, people are looking at others to see what they think of them. And it's like, you ain't got to care what they say. Like, their opinion isn't fact. And it's just insecurity, man. But when it comes to life, would you say someone's ability to, like, become successful is dependent on, like, genetics or environment?
I'd say it's a bit of both. How much each one weighs. Like, you know, the whole argument, nature versus nurture. It depends. I think it depends on the individual. Some people are more inclined to, you know, like persevere through hardships. Those people, like, some could argue, obviously, your environment plays a huge factor. How you grew up and like what you're surrounded by plays a huge factor. But then I feel like when you compare like siblings to each other, yes, you know, they might grow up in the same environment, same parents, you know. Maybe their parents treated them the same way. I'm talking about those people there where it's like they grew up in the same environment but somehow led to different paths. That's where I can say, okay, cool. Obviously genetics are at play in it. Maybe one child could, you know, had better mental stability so they were able to, you know, weather some hardships better. But then, I don't know, I read a book recently.
Come on, let's hear it, mate. What's the book called?
It's called Mindset. So
Mindset.
it's literally about this. It's by Dr. What's her name? Dr. Carol Dweck or something like that. I need to double check.
Let's hear.
So it talks about two mindsets, yeah? The fixed and the growth mindset. Fixed being, you know, someone who feels like whatever they were born with or whatever they have possessed right now, qualities, that is it. Like, what they're just as smart as whatever they are, and that's how they will be. They don't feel like they can improve in certain areas. Whereas the growth mindset is people who are always looking for challenges, always looking to improve themselves, and don't feel like whatever they have now or possess now in terms of their traits define them in the future or their potential. So obviously, a lot of people want to be the growth mindsetters, and the fixed mindsetters believe that, you know, what you're born with is what you have. So that's the whole nature argument versus the nurture. Is it nature? Yeah, nature argument versus nurture, where it's environment. And those are the growth mindset, isn't it? I feel like not just after reading that, but just in general, I'm probably leaning more towards that growth mindset. You know, your environment can play like a huge factor into you, and like you can decide how much like that applies to you in a sense. So I feel like if you want to improve or, you know, change your mindset about success and stuff like that, where it's like you want to be successful, it isn't just inherent and it isn't just genetics only. I feel like now, like it's especially, I think it was always the case, innit? But I feel like people should view it as like anyone can grow to be something that they want to be. Anyone can be successful in their own mind. If they obviously, you know, put in the work, if their environment is right, they do all this stuff where it can help them get closer. I don't feel like a failure defines you. So I don't feel like you should be boxed into that. So in a sense, I don't think genetics is purely at play. There is obviously some aspects where some people are just built different in a sense. Like, you know what I mean? Different. Like, if you throw them in any environment, they'll manage to beat it no matter what. And that's just, you gotta say they're born with that, innit? You just gotta say that. But then there's some people where it's like, you know what? Maybe they grew up young and like it was a thing of where like they had initially thought this was their limit. Yeah. But they managed to, you know, get past that through, you know, a good support group, you know, I don't know, right opportunities. I think luck is involved in everything, innit? But all of those factors came into play.
You said you think luck is involved?
Yeah. I think everyone has a form of luck, innit? And for you to be successful in what you do, there's certain opportunities that you have to take, but the opportunities have to be there for you to actually succeed. Like certain people might say, you know what, I want to be a CEO of a company, you know, and like, you know, they're out here building or working towards that. Like, you got to be in the right place at the right time for you to grab an opportunity. Like, you can prepare, and those people who prepare for that opportunity are the ones who usually succeed. But you got to be lucky to an extent to get that opportunity in the first place. That's how I view it. Like, there's a form of luck involved. I'm not saying,
you know, because the word luck, I feel like it just allows people to make an excuse, innit? To not try.
Okay.
And act as if like their fate is already like done, innit? Like defined, because like, oh, I'm not lucky enough. I think that's why I don't know. I don't think I agree personally. Because
no, I agree with that aspect where you can't be using that as an excuse. Like, you got to be, how I see it, you got to be ready for the opportunity no matter what. the reason why I said luck is just because you got that opportunity, like, has to be there. And for it to be there is a form of luck in that.
But is it actually luck for the opportunity to be there? Because, like, think about how many jobs there are in the world. There's loads of jobs.
Yeah.
You might send loads of application, but all you need is one yes.
Yeah.
So, like, I wouldn't say the one person that said yes is now luck. Like, you've applied, you've positioned yourself. That's all choice as well.
I think we're saying the same thing, bro. But
I'm saying the luck itself, I don't think I'll say that. I feel like in general in the world, you will get people that favour you. That's I wouldn't say that's luck though. That's just
I get that.
Them liking who you are, innit?
I get that.
I feel like by using the word luck, it just takes things out of your control, innit?
Okay. I think, yeah.
It's like, let's say even when it comes to like sports, I know we love sports in it, but like being in a position to score a goal, whether it's football or basketball, like you need to be in a goal scoring position in order to score.
Yeah.
You might say, oh, that guy's lucky, he's always there at the right time. But nah, his movement, it was there, it was ready.
Yeah.
You go up there, let's see what you can do. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
man, we're ripping Ronaldo. Like.
So it's not easy.
No, but I get that. I'm literally in agreement. I feel like you have to put yourself in the right position for you to receive any opportunity. Yeah. Like, to be there in it. So yeah, I think obviously luck might be a strong word in that sense, because there are people that think, oh, you know what, I'm unlucky. Yeah. You know, I wasn't gifted the same way they were. I wasn't born in a rich family or whatever it is. So I get that. You shouldn't be using that as an excuse to not work on yourself and not put yourself in the right positions anyways. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm saying it's a big like conversation, because like,
it is,
in life, I feel like many people are so quick to justify why they cannot achieve certain things, innit? And like, it comes down to excuses, innit? So like, whether you do feel like it's genetics, you might feel like I said, your fate's defined, innit? But you might feel like you have everything you need already, innit? And you don't need to try and learn more. So I think that's what the danger is. Like, when you feel as though you know everything already, there's no growth because you're not willing to learn.
Yeah.
So that's what it comes down to, innit? So what about you?
In terms of luck or genetic or
both,
environment? Like, admittedly, I'm an environment advocate, should I say? I think your environment has a big part to play, and the only time I'd probably say genetics comes into play is when we're talking about, I don't know, physical requirements or something like that. Where, so for instance, the NBA or something like that, where you are way more likely to make it. Well, as a professional athlete, I guess in general, if you have like a specific set of, you know, genetic factors in on your side of the court. But besides that, like, besides those extreme examples where your physicality is really going to be tested, I don't know. I'm struggling to see where else genetics comes into play. Well, I guess, what are you considering genetics? Because maybe what you're considering genetics, I'd consider environment. So, for instance, your parents and their mentality and their mindset, I consider environment.
Yeah, so
I don't consider, that's not genetic for me. For me, genetic is literally physical.
Okay, how about stuff like intelligence? You know, stuff where it's like,
I don't know if that's genetic, bro.
No, I don't think it's 100% genetics either. But I think Albert Einstein was always going to be a genius. Like, those people where it's like, there's certain things where it's like,
if Albert Einstein grew up in a different area around different people,
he wouldn't be seen the way he's seen, but he would still be a smart guy.
Okay, that's interesting. See, I don't know. I think he is a smart guy because of his experience.
Oh, sir.
So you're saying he's smart because of his parents?
I'm saying not anyone could be Einstein. You could put someone in the same position that Einstein was in, and they might not made the breakthroughs he would have done.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So I feel like there is some aspects of genetics there. That's how I see it. But
like you said, we're all individuals. I get you can be someone's identical twin and grow up in the same household and have a completely different perspective, completely different experiences from them, even though your genetics are similar. You can be vastly different people. I don't know. I definitely place way more weight on the environment.
No, I agree too. Yeah, I agree too. Yeah,
and even on, like you said, with luck, more on the like individual, like proactivity of the person, if that's a term.
I got a question. Yeah, kind of hard to answer. What do you think the secret to life is?
The secret to life.
Yeah.
What do you mean
You
by
want to
that?
go ahead?
Hold on,
yeah, bro.
Hold on, what do you mean, man?
The secret tool key to life, like in terms of like being able to like
So like a
just
cheat code.
progress like a cheat code.
Yeah.
Just something very, very valuable. Like what do you think that is?
That's a big question, man. Could probably sit here all day, but I don't know. One thing I'd say, like a valuable thing that I'd say I've noticed from my experiences, maybe, finding your circle, finding the right people for you. We've spoken about socials. We've spoken about almost letting life come to you instead of you going out and seeking it. And I think one thing that's definitely changed for me in the last couple of years is like being selective and being active and trying to find people that will help you grow. Because if you sit around and, I don't know, like only consume what you're almost being encouraged to consume, then odds are like you won't get the best out of your potential.
Yeah.
But I think if you try and do your best and take ownership of the people you interact with on a consistent basis, the type of things you're interested in, instead of what you're being, I guess, force-fed, then I think you're way more likely to create that positive environment for yourself. And that's a big part, I'd say, of my definition of, a successful life. Is building those positive relationships. It's, being in a good mental state. And I think that that's definitely something that those two things will benefit from.
Because even with like social media, again, like what we didn't touch upon was like the consumption, innit? That's a big part.
Yeah.
And like that statement, you are what you eat. That is mad. Like,
It's true.
It's so true.
It's so true. Yeah.
It really makes a difference. So like, you really need to be careful what you do consume, like what you do take in. So the people around you, what you do read or like what you listen to, innit? Because that's gonna become a part of you. That's gonna influence how you see yourself as well, or your possibility of achieving any sort of success.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of like the secrets of life, I was reading something in it, and they were saying how like one of the secrets to life is basically to stop caring.
Okay.
So like, not in a mad way where you're not caring about what's important, but stop caring about the things that are not important.
Yeah.
So just choosing a few things to really care about. So whether it's like your family or loved ones, and everything else, don't care. The issue is now everyone cares about every little thing.
Okay.
How you look, how you sound, how people think of you. Just everything. Just oversensitive.
Yeah. I think all the things that you're talking about can be summed up under image. Like essentially, maybe what you're talking about, what people care about a lot. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we've grown up in an environment where those kind of things are promoted as your worth. Like, if you look a certain way, there's more value on looking a certain way than like almost having that substance. So I don't know, you can look like you're good at basketball, you can have all the team kits, all the freshest shoes and everything like that. There's more weight put on that and being able to just showcase that to people. Yeah. But then when we turn up and we say, what are you saying, 3-on-3, like, you can't play. Like, there's more weight on the aesthetic, I think. And I don't know, that personally scares me in it, because I like the idea of, the long-term struggle of practicing something, putting in my 10,000 hours and getting good at it. I don't want to just look like I can do something.
I agree.
I want to be good at it.
Yeah. But what do you think the reason is why people do not believe that they can overcome their sort of like challenges or difficult situations that they go through?
I think we're presented with easier alternatives. It's a lot easier to wake up one day and just say, I don't know, what's the first thing everybody does? Tidy your room. I don't know, maybe like do a spring clean and say, right, that's it, I fixed all my issues. It's a lot easier to do that. And that's almost what is marketed as like, soft life, self-care. It's a lot easier to do that than actually do the deep work and thinking about yourself and areas that you need to change and grow. In general, everything is about changing the aesthetic, whether that's you or everything around you. Very few, like, I feel like it's not really marketed to actually like do the deep work and try and find changes within yourself. So I think we're human, innit? We want to pick the easier option anyway. And that is what is being presented to us. And
it's all that deflection and lack of accountability, man. Like, have you heard about Mason's law?
Nah.
You haven't? Oh, it's basically, okay, it says, okay, all I know of it is that it says that the moment something like threatens like your sort of identity, people are most likely to avoid whatever it is, innit?
For sure, yeah.
So like when someone's actually really challenged about viewing themselves and really like just G-checking themselves, like they will avoid it. So they kind of only want to place themselves in situations where they can remain within like the same sort of image of themselves. So let's say, imagine like you think you're a banging cook, innit? You're only gonna cook amongst people that can't cook,
yeah,
because you want to show off basically. But when you're coming against other chefs and that,
you're rattled.
Be rattled. So you're not really trying to put yourself in those situations, innit? Or if
No,
someone's trying to tell you, I don't know, maybe to push yourself, like maybe playing for a team where you're gonna come across more skilled players, like you might avoid the situation because you're still looking to stay in that same sort of bubble in a way.
People trying to cheat the process. Yeah, that's what the people are trying to do. And yeah, man, I think coming back to what you're saying, like, what is the secret? To like, I would say to enjoy the process, because that is more important than the outcome. Everyone's worried about how they look, how they're perceived, like the end result, essentially. Like if someone wants to be seen as smart, you know, they don't care about actually doing the work to become smart. They care about that final goal,
Image,
being or looking seen as smart. This could be applied everywhere else, innit? But if you enjoy the process, actually look forward to the process, look forward to the challenges that come across, you know, actually reveling and enjoying it, you're going to be so much further than a person who's only worried about the image, how they're perceived, because you actually put in the work and you are doing something where you're not skipping things. You're not looking for shortcuts. You're trying to, in fact, embrace failure, innit? Because you know that that's going to eventually help you get to where you want to be. So I feel like when it comes to things like that, like accountability is key. Obviously, you need to check yourself and make sure that you're on that right path. But then in terms of actually on the path itself, you need to be looking for challenges. You need to be looking for places where you can grow and like seek that, because at the end of the day, like it's only you that's gonna push you. Like all these things, the image and how you're perceived, that's what other people think. That doesn't change what is actually going on. If you go through the process, that's intrinsic. Like, you know how like someone says like you should focus on your character instead of how you're perceived. That in that aspect, that is what you should be doing.
Deep stuff, bro.
No,
it's true.
But it's true. Like you should be focused on the process, because you know that is what's going to yield a result. Like, you know, and even if it doesn't, you should enjoy the process, because you know the journey itself is probably even more beneficial than the actual end result. The people that are worried about the end result but not about the in between, when they actually get there, what are they going to do? They're in a rush for what?
But how does someone actually enjoy the process? We always hear it, enjoy the process, but how do you actually enjoy the process? Because the process is not necessarily a nice one.
It's not a nice one. It's
like,
not.
You don't know what's going to happen. Something's going to be proper hard, isn't it? So like, how do you actually stay in a state where you're still content or like you're still motivated and enjoying the process?
The way I see it is, you got to look at the alternative. If you're not enjoying the process, what are you doing? You're sulking about it, but you're going to have to go through it anyways if you want to get to where you want to go. Otherwise, skip the hard work and miss out what you want to do. That's the alternative, not getting that goal. So for you to actually get there, you have to go through the process. And if you're going to go through the process, you might as well enjoy it. You know what I mean? That's how I see it.
I think there's other ways as well to make the process more bearable or fun. I mean, obviously, I don't know what extreme process you guys are talking about, but just stuff like rewarding yourself for the little things.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Instead of, you know, thinking, okay, I'm only going to have enjoyment when I reach, when I'm making the 7.
Yeah, that's what I'm enjoying the journey, innit? Enjoy the journey, yeah.
But yeah, just giving yourself that sense of satisfaction and dopamine on a daily basis, even set a to-do list, and when you do all the things that you've done, you'll get some enjoyment from doing that. Just stuff to make every single day as a challenge, rather than thinking, okay, I'm not on my goal yet, I'm not on my goal yet. Think about, what can I do today, in this hour, in this minute, in this second, to get closer to my goal. I enjoy that, but I don't know. Maybe it's that because I played a lot of games growing up as a kid, in it, so I'm used to like searching objectives, in it. Like that's almost what I want to do. I mean, you make it to one part of the story, the next objective, right? You go there, like, so maybe I'm thinking of it from that methodical way, but I think that's a healthy way to look at things, one step at a time. put one foot in front of the other, innit? And before you know it, you'll be surprised at how much closer to your goals you are.
So the small progress, small wins. I hear that. But like, even failure itself, like, have you got any examples of like times where you've actually failed?
So many.
I think more people have failures than
Like, let us know, innit? Because we're speaking like quite vaguely, innit? Like, like third person stuff, but I want to go first person, innit? So
maybe probably something somewhat a lot of people can relate to is the whole, like diet, food and nutrition aspect. Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything. Certain man was trying to tell me to go to McDonald's.
Wait,
I haven't said any names. If the cat fits, wear it. But but I don't know. Like obviously, and it's the same parallels that we were talking about with social media and things like that. There's so many like almost avenues of distraction that you can go down that will take you away from your road. But let's say you set in your mind, okay, well, that's happened to me so many times where I know I've got, to follow a certain diet or a certain plan to like maximize my performance, even in a sporting aspect or just in general. And then I'm there the next day eating cookies, innit? Like, so come on, man, we all fail. I know I fail on a consistent basis, innit? But at the same time, that's also part of the journey. And you wanna, to an extent, experience those things. I guess so that you can give better advice on how to get out of that situation. And B, it just, man, I feel like failure is a blessing, man. It builds character.
It does,
like,
And okay, if it builds character, let me hear something deeper from one of you. Something deeper, even if it's something that you didn't go on to do, like you literally just stopped doing it because you still learned something from it in the end of the day, innit?
It's true.
So like, let's get deep in it. Let's not.
Not beat around the. All right, cool. I got a little experience in it, so obviously, I enjoy basketball now, and it is what it is. But back in the day, I only started basketball when I was year 7, year 8. Like year 8 was the time where I actually experienced my first game. So at the time I was 12, 13, something like that. It was after school. My PE teacher was like, "We need a man or a man short. Jump on the team." I was like, "Cool." Play the game. Got smoked. Like, I was getting cooked. Like it was bad. And I was like, you know what? I didn't mind being put in that position. Like at the time, obviously, it was like, what the heck? Like, I'm getting smoked. Maybe I shouldn't do this again. But then I was like, you know what? Yeah, I could go away from this and be like, basketball's not for me. But then that was one game, my first game. And it's like, this is something that I wanted to improve on. Like, I like the feeling of starting from the bottom in a sense. So because this was like towards the end of the year. The next year, I bought myself a Dunlop ball from Sports Direct, £5. Started working and playing. It did. That's what I'm saying, isn't it? So there was a hoop not too far from my house. Started shooting there. Once the school year started, brought that ball into actual school, and there was hoops at the school too, innit? So I started playing there. And before I know it, more people were trying to get involved as well. I was going to training sessions. I was actually doing the things to get me on the path to success, as you call it. But in the process, I was bad. The whole time I was bad. Like, it took me a while before I actually considered myself okay or at a decent level. And that was just me going through those failures, going through those things, and actually looking forward to it as well. Because I was like, when's the next game? I'm trying to play. Even though I knew I was bad. Like, it was one of them ones where it's like, I knew like eventually the outcome of all of this would be me getting to where I want to be, becoming a better player. Before I knew it, by the time year 9, year 10 came, I was considered in my year one of the best at basketball. And I literally started from a position where I was not great. So yeah, I did what I needed to do.
I saw the mic there. Fuck. Can't continue that.
Bro, I was seeing this, it's just falling. I'm like, yo, what's going on?
No, but yeah, fair enough though. But was you trying to make it pro as well?
No,
be real.
Okay, obviously everyone wanted to make it pro, innit? Like that's the. If I made it pro, I'd be very, very happy.
What I'm saying is that even that experience of trying to make it and not actually making it, what have you gained from that?
Stuff like resilience. I would not have been as resilient as I am if I had not played basketball, and that is a fact. I can say that.
You gotta bring it back closer again. Like it's a bit too far away from your mouth.
It is. Alright, calm.
Man's moving. He's freedom the whole way. Like,
alright, calm. Is this better?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So obviously, not making it as pro, I still managed to build all these qualities that I would not have otherwise. Like resiliency, like I would not be as resilient as I am without playing basketball, and I can say that 100%. And it's just because going through those failures, going from an aspect where I could not play to the point where I'm now depended on, like to be on the court. Like I got to the point where at the end of like sixth form, I was the captain in it. At university, I was starting from the bottom again because I was in the second team, trying to get minutes.
Yeah.
Before the end, I was a start on the first team. Like these things, all these things, and these were setbacks initially because it was a thing of where I had to put my ego to the side and be like, you know what, I'm not good at what I'm doing right now, but that doesn't define me, and I'm gonna work to get better. Jeez. So that's what I was trying to do the whole time, and it's something like that is transferable. I could put that anywhere. That resiliency. If I go to work and I feel like I'm starting from the bottom, which I initially did because I was a graduate coming in where I only knew a certain some knowledge. I didn't have the experiences these guys did, and I'm working myself to get to a position where I'm gonna be depended on. I'm gonna be a senior in my position. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I'm on the I'm making steps to get to that place. I've already gone past a couple hurdles, and those things it's just transferable. Like those failures, I'm not seeing it as like full on setbacks. I'm not seeing it as oh, this defines me. I'm seeing that failure as a challenge, and I'm seeing it. Okay, I failed. At least I've got that failure out of the way. I can now move on to the next failure and keep doing that. I'm seeing it as a ladder essentially. Each failure get me closer to success.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to do in it. And those things where it's like you're asking what has been transferred. It's not just resiliency, even though that's the biggest one. Like things like putting myself in a new position, and looking for those new positions. Essentially, this is what I want. And I feel like I can transfer that too. I'm always looking for things where, I can push my boundaries in a sense, because I don't want to be just stuck where I am either. I want to be looking for things to expand myself and actually try to fulfill my potential. So yeah,
that's mad, because I was even reading something where it was saying that those people that are basically better than you at something, it's most likely that they failed at it more than you have.
Yeah, for sure.
That's literally it.
Yeah,
it's so mad. And those that you're better at, it's because you've used your failings to learn more and grow, whereas they haven't put themselves through that sort of stress and difficulty, innit? It's actually so mad. Why do you think we're not so open about our failings, innit? Because often no one's really chatting about it. It doesn't work out,
everyone's been quiet, man.
We're not even explaining you know what, I'm actually sad about that, but I'm gonna get through that, or I might need a bit of help to get through this.
Because
instead you're just staying silent.
Because it's all leading back to that perception, that image thing that we were talking about. If you're the first one to show your hand, there's a fear that comes along with that. Because everybody is so focused on maintaining that, I'm good, my life is good, this is the way I live my life in a perfect way, a picture perfect way. Because the example I gave earlier, people's perception of you comes from what you show. Even though you won't have the biggest connection with them, or it might not be the deepest relationship, they will base how you're doing or who you are based on, what you show to them. So if you're suddenly coming to someone and presenting yourself as vulnerable, they're not going to view you as essentially through the lens that they've been looking at you all that time. And that has an impact on your real world scenario. If people perceive you as weak, vulnerable, there's a fear in the first place coming from you in being able to show yourself that way, because you fear what might happen. And also the reality is people will treat you differently because they aren't probably prepared to do the same. Sure, if we lived in an environment where, or if you can create that circle for yourself where it's acceptable and it's okay to be vulnerable, then that's good and that's ideal. And that's what I mean by putting emphasis on, finding and creating your circle of people who you can be that way around. But most people aren't in that place. Most people, I don't know, can only, don't have that experience. They'll say, yeah, sure, if you want to talk to me, ring me. But ring them and see, they aren't used to being in that position to offer help, innit? So I think, ultimately it's that perception, it's that profile that you're showing people that you will be judged on, that if it's tarnished, that's what scares us from being open.
But that's where the strength comes from. Like there's there's strength in vulnerability.
Honestly.
So like,
Yes or no?
no, but like in a way, like who is more willing to share their vulnerabilities with people? Like the people that do that, they're stronger or they're more confident.
Yeah.
Because they're happy to show you their flaws.
That's how I
Everyone else
view
that
it too,
mask
yeah.
it,
Yeah.
they might act as if they're confident, but they're so scared.
No,
because they can't tell you how
I
they really feel.
agree, but that's why I asked earlier about what has more currency. Because let's say you're someone who's prepared to share whatever, or you're someone who's only prepared to show an image of yourself. The reality is people might still view the person who can only show the image as strong. Sure, deep down you'll know, and you have to be happy in your corner knowing that you have strong connections, you have strong foundations. But to someone else, they might get their worth in relationships from, you know, just their digital personas or their presence. So
I hear that though, but like
I do think the best way, and that's why I say I'm talking about, this is to an extent again, talking about the extreme version, somebody who can exist outside of that digital realm. But I'm saying for the reason why most people don't do that is because they know that what their friendships, the foundations of their friendships are, the foundation of their relationships are, if they were to suddenly open up and become like that, it might shake some tables. And
but then that's not the issue then. Like they're the issue. Like you shouldn't be open up to them. So like you need to find someone else to open up to.
Yeah, for sure. But
like,
that's the easiest.
Because it's true. Like they might not be built to, as you like saying, for the task. Like you're not gonna give your situation to, like, let's say you're sick. You're not gonna go to the corner shop to get better. Like you're gonna go to the GP in it. So they're not qualified. So it is what it is. But no, it's mad. Like I just feel like everyone's got this facade, and that's why I'll go back to controlling it. Because like, why are you putting on this facade? Like
everything's about your social currency.
Yeah.
Everything's about your social. And like I said, what the foundation of what your relationships are built upon is important. If the foundation of your relationship is image, is your social currency, then expect it to fail on those regards. If you have friends that you're only friends with because of, you know, like I said, the clout they can bring you, then expect when you are suddenly being detrimental to that, expect it to go, of course. The same foundation that your relationships are built upon is what they'll is what you can expect to be impacted the most by if you challenge them. So it doesn't surprise me that most people feel like they can't be open or they can't be vulnerable with their friends, because that's not how their friendships were founded in the first place. Their friendships were probably founded from, oh, you watched the same show as me, or oh, you saw that picture, let's go to this place. When in reality, they might value that as a quality relationships, but at the same time, they're ignoring the relationship that they've had since young with the people who they can be open with, because one brings more likes on a platform than the other one.
No, it's true, man.
What's fashionable, what's marketable about growth in private? Like, nothing. There's no joy. You don't get any retweets for that, innit? Like, you get retweets, you get likes and follows for public displays of growth. And I think we need to be careful, because that's what we're starting to understand as valuable. I think we got to rewire ourselves in it to place more value on the substance rather than the aesthetic. I'm a substance merchant though, so I'm gonna keep saying that. I love undeniable substance. I love it. Like,
no, it's mad. Like, obviously, I don't know. I feel like people kind of do know this as well, innit? But how do they actually do this? Like, how do you place more value on these things that you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, practically, like how?
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have the answers, but I'm just saying like, how. Innit?
I can only say things I can suggest. I feel like it's always been a bit easier for me because nurture in it. Like, I've always in my environments that I've been in, I don't know, from young I kind of thought I don't really get much enjoyment from doing this, let me try something else. But if you're more concerned with, as it's almost natural to do, fitting in, then like I said, you might be a more difficult starting point. But you've got to think. I can't lie. Like, most of the time, most of the time, we're so busy, like almost stimulating our brains or like trying to keep ourselves occupied in some way or the other. Like, think about it. Like, when was the last time you actually just sat like in the dark and you just thought, like, just had to think about your life and the things that you like, the things that you actually value deep down, and not where you get external validation from. And I think if we were in a consistent state, that's why, I've got to recommend meditation and journaling, especially just putting yourself in that state where you can really be honest with yourself and your thoughts on a consistent basis. definitely will change your perspectives. Because if you're not doing that, then you're not giving yourself time to even think about what you do want. I don't know. Yeah.
But